Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We're diving deep into an incredible piece of historical bureaucracy. Usually when we think about history, our minds go straight to grand battles or these massive sweeping political movements. But right now, we are going to do a forensic close reading of a single everyday administrative document. We'll break down the text, analyze the structure, and uncover the really fascinating story hidden right there in its margins. So let's kick things off by asking what seems like a pretty simple question. What can one completely mundane piece of paper really tell us about the vast, complex machinery of 19th century administrative systems? Well, as it turns out, a whole lot. When we actually learn to read between the lines and look closely at the exact vocabulary and formatting chosen by the author, this simple memo transforms. It becomes this vivid window into exactly how power, money, and communication flowed over a century ago. Just take a look at this raw artifact in all its faded typewriter and print glory. This is Circular Memo number 10, dated exactly June 10th, 1895. Visually, it's just striking, right? Look at the uneven ink and that early mix of capitalized print and typewriter font. Honestly, before we even read a single word of it, the very physical nature of this document just commands authority. It feels official, it feels urgent, and it's going to be our primary source for today's entire explainer. Section 1. Inside an 1895 archival document. Every good historical investigation needs a setting, right? Well, the text on our document anchors us in a very specific time and place. We are in Lucknow, British India, on June 10th, 1895. But here's the catch. The text explicitly directs the reader to look ahead to the rest of the financial year. So the absolute crucial point to remember here is that this isn't just a dusty record of the past. It's actually a forward-looking financial forecasting tool. Right at the top, in bold letters, it's labeled a circular memo. Now, why does that specific phrasing matter? As our definition shows, calling it a circular memo immediately tells us that this absolutely wasn't a private one-on-one letter. No way. This was a mass communication. It was specifically designed to be copied and distributed to multiple facilities all at the same time. Think of it as the 1895 equivalent of an all-staff email from corporate headquarters blasted out to make sure everyone is on exactly the same page. Section 2. The Chain of Command. The header of this memo maps out a very strict top-down chain of command. Look at the sender side. We've got Jeffrey C. Hall, the Acting Inspector General of Prisons. And on the recipient side, all superintendents of jails across the northwestern provinces and out. There is zero ambiguity here. We're looking at a single, highly powerful individual stationed at regional headquarters, broadcasting a strict directive down to every single local facility manager under his jurisdiction. And hey, if there was literally any doubt about who's in charge, just look at how the sender signs his name down at the bottom. Notice that incredibly impressive string of medical and military credentials. FRCS, which means Fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons, right next to Surgeon Lieutenant Colonel. This is such a brilliant little detail because it perfectly illustrates the intense intersection of military, medical, and administrative authority that you needed to run the prison system back then. This guy isn't just a paper-pushing manager. He is a highly ranked military doctor, and he's demanding absolute compliance. Section 3. Analyzing the core directive. Okay, so we know who the boss is, and we know exactly who the subordinates are. The big question is, what exactly is the Inspector General demanding from them? When we strip away all that flowery 19th century formatting, hidden right inside these polite paragraphs are three very distinct, completely mandatory tasks that these superintendents have to execute. Step 1. Report the actual expenditure on grain storage up to today. Step 2. Carefully revise your budget to cover anticipated increases in rations. And Step 3. If you happen to have any excess grain allotted to you, report the exact amount immediately. Honestly, it's a highly structured audit, just totally disguised as a routine memo. Notice how the memo specifically asks for a comparison. It directly juxtaposes actual expenditure up to date right against probable requirements for the rest of the financial year. Now that is pure, unfiltered accounting language. The Inspector General isn't just casually asking what they spent. He is actively demanding a variance analysis. He wants to know precisely where the budget stands today and exactly where it's headed tomorrow. Section 4. The Jail Rations Budget. But listen. Budgets are never just numbers on a piece of paper, are they? They represent real, messy, real-world operations. So let's zero right in on the exact operational issue this memo is tackling, the budget for feeding the prisoners. Read this quote closely with me. He asks them to suggest any probable savings to cover any anticipated increase under rations. And wow, this brilliantly illustrates something so timelessly relatable. Here we have local facility managers, basically the 1895 equivalent of middle managers, being told that food costs are going up and somehow, some way, they need to miraculously find the savings in their own budgets to pay for it. If we go ahead and translate that antique bureaucracy into modern corporate English, it's a phrase a lot of us have probably heard at work. Find savings, cover the increases. The central office is absolutely not offering a single penny more to deal with the rising cost of grain. Instead, they are straight up commanding the local jail superintendents to reallocate their existing funds to somehow make the math work. It is a literal masterclass in delegating financial pressure right down the chain of command. Section 5. The machinery of bureaucracy. Now that we've decoded the specific demands, let's just zoom out for a second. What does the vocabulary and the tone of this document tell us about the overall machinery of bureaucracy back in 1895? Look at the language used in the final paragraph about excess grain. It says, the fact should be intimated to this office as early as possible. Notice that extremely formal, almost polite phrasing. It doesn't scream, report this right now. It says intimated to this office. It is the classic velvet glove over an iron fist. Sure, it sounds gentlemanly, but considering the military rank of the sender, let's be real. It is an absolute, non-negotiable demand for immediate reporting. Again, playfully translating this into plain English, the Inspector General is essentially just saying, tell us quickly. If you've got extra budget or extra grain lying around, headquarters wants to know about it immediately. And why? Probably so they can swoop in, take it, and use it to cover shortages somewhere else in the province. So, to wrap up our forensic investigation here, through our modern lens, this single, seemingly boring memo actually reveals an incredibly highly structured administration. We see a perfectly standardized top-down communication format. We see strict hierarchical authority completely backed by military rank. We see intense demands for precise financial forecasting. And above all else, we see the constant, never-ending search for budget reallocation. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've taken a single 130-year-old piece of paper and completely decoded the organizational culture behind it. So, as you close this explainer and head back to your own modern spreadsheets and unread emails, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. When you look at the pressure to find savings to cover anticipated increases, has the fundamental nature of bureaucratic budgeting really changed at all since June 10th, 1895? I'll let you be the judge of that. Thanks so much for joining me, and as always, keep questioning the details.